Hey ladies, welcome back to the Woman Experience. Here we evolve, we elevate, and we experience life in all its totality. If you are passionate about womanhood, elevating yourself as a woman, if this is the kind of content that you like, keep it here. Last week we talked about being invisible, and this is a series on women and invisibility, where sometimes you do not feel seen, where your efforts are not taken for granted, where you're moving through life and it feels like the world or people around you don't take notice of who you are. And last week we went through signs that you might be feeling invisible. So I'll link it somewhere in this channel. Do click on it because I think it's a good starting point for us to begin there so that you follow through. And today we are flipping the script. We are talking about actionable steps that you can begin today to start taking back your power, to feel seen, to feel visible, because it is a feeling, it is a mindset. More than anything, you don't really need anyone's validation. And while we said it's important, I mean, we all want to feel seen, we want to feel appreciated. So it's a feeling that people are not noticing who you are and your efforts. So we want to feel confident. And so start there and let's begin. So number one is owning your worth. This is a huge one. Life gets so busy. We are moving up and down. We are taking care of our kids. We are doing the laundry or some, organizing for it to be done. These small mundane things, from home to the workplace. You have a career, you have a business, you have your passion projects. There's so much that women have to deal with, and we forget how much we actually accomplish. So this is a simple reminder to just start owning your worth. And one of the things that was a game changer for me, and I thought it was cheesy at first, was affirmations. And what affirmations are really doing is they remind you of who you really are, things you have accomplished. They also remind you of your power. It's about taking power back. So bonus point, if you start making affirmations of, I am confident, I am a great mom, I am a great homemaker, I am a great manager. Really, it's about rewiring your brain to remind you of your worth, because you have always been, you just need a reminder. Another list that could also be a bonus is write a list of the difficult or hard things you've had to do, your accomplishment, and in the past you thought they were such huge things you couldn't do them, but you went ahead and did it. I remember there was a time when this YouTube channel was just a dream. I could not even think I would do one episode. And now I have I don't know how many, just a few, but you get the drift. These are small accomplishments, things that I thought were so difficult. So write that down. I've given birth to, 2 amazing kids. I'm a manager of a team of 3 people at work. I am the one that coordinates all the meals in my family. These small mundane tasks might seem mundane, but if you actually write on a piece of paper the things that you do in a day, in a week, in a month, you'll be amazed. If you list down your accomplishments, you'll be amazed at how far you've come. So we are now starting to rewire our brain. This is so simple, yet so profound. It might sound silly at first. And a bonus point, if you stick this list or somewhere, you can always see them every day. So let's start owning our worth. Let's start reminding ourselves of who we really are. So that's point number 1, start owning your worth. Number 2, speak up. It was Martin Luther who said, our lives begin to end when we keep silent about the things that matter. And truer words could never have been spoken. There are so many times in my life where I haven't spoken up on things that mattered to me, things that needed to be said, but I never said it. Things that were so important, and it could have saved me a lot of agonizing time, energy, and circumstances afterwards. And I think it happens so much, especially for us as women, because we have been socialized to be the nice girls, to be less assertive. And this is a huge, it's a game changer. The minute that you realize that your silence will not protect you, and of course, speaking out with respect and causing less harm to those around you, but speaking up is hugely important. At the workplace, so many instances of women receiving less, getting a raw deal because you didn't speak up. In family situations, things escalating or things not being sorted out, or you not letting people know how you really feel. And so this is a huge one. Learn to always advocate for yourself because nobody else will. And I am happy because this is a conversation that's really happening a lot more now on the importance of speaking up. Because if you do not speak up, people will not know what has aggrieved you. And this is part of how to beat invisibility. It is to speak when you're uncomfortable, speak even if you're in fear, just speak. And it is so hugely important for us as women. And if one way of delivering a message doesn't work, keep trying. You can always evolve, and that's what we do here. That's why I say we are always evolving. If you fear speaking out, how about crafting a well-written email to your manager about some points that you want to put across? Seek an expert to help you. So the idea is that you are not beating yourself to silence and feeling aggrieved and feeling burnt out and feeling that people don't honor you. You are now taking your power back. So this is a huge one. And we can talk in another series about how to be a more effective communicator, how to have difficult conversations. But please learn to speak up. Number 3 is set boundaries. This is another one that I think from time to time, we've forgotten, but also we are now constantly reminded that unless you set paradigms or ways for people to treat you because you're the one that knows how you want to live your life, people will trample over you. And boundaries have been spoken a lot on the online space only for extreme toxic cases. But actually, boundaries are an everyday thing. How do you want people to treat you? How do you want people to help you? That's a boundary, by the way, that you're saying, I cannot do it alone. I would like help with A, B, and C. I would like help at home. I would like extra help at work, or I would like to be my opinion to be taken into considerations. Those are all healthy boundaries. And how you set boundaries is you start to communicate to people immediately the boundary has been crossed. And one tip I can give you, a practical solution: write down all of the things that people say or do or don't say that makes you feel invisible. So once you get clear on what people do or say that makes you feel invisible or what they don't do, then you can try and see those instances. So when they happen again, you say, next time I would appreciate my point being listened to, and I'm happy to also listen to you. So let's listen to each other. So something like that is a small way of reminding of yourself those instances when you need to set boundaries, because this is a huge one. Because women juggle a lot, and in the always trying to put out so many fires, boundaries are always crossed, because people always expect you to be the nice girl that we talked about in the last video, the one who doesn't like to light any fires, the one who doesn't like to speak up. So this is a huge one. Start setting your boundaries. Let people know. And there's no end to the demands that life will have of you, especially as women. But you can take charge and be proactive about how your times and efforts are used by people. Number 4, start building the right relationships and leaning to those people that affirm you. Now, here's the thing. If you're feeling invisible, I'd like to think there's always people in your corner that see your efforts. It's just that in the spaces that matter to you, probably there are people don't see your efforts, but we have a friend, we have a colleague, we have someone who affirms you, who, makes you feel like you matter. So lean into those people more. One tip I always give the women that I work with is, if you're feeling less confident or less visible at work, there's always that colleague who always seems to be shining, who always seems to put their points across with confidence. How about approaching them and learning a bit from them? There's women in your life, for example, or mentors or people who you see are, confident or owning their worth. How about trying to link up with them? How about even just spending with people who just cherish you and remind you of who you are? Your kids, your spouse. Just look for those corners and tap into them more. Because when you keep tapping into the negative voices, the people that don't really see you, sometimes it can just drain you. So try and build the right relationships. Try to look out for spaces and people that remind you of your worth. And slowly by slowly, as you're doing everything you're talking about, that confidence comes back. Have you ever spent like an afternoon with a friend that gets you and affirms you, and you're like, you know what, it's been a rough week and I'm just so glad we met? Tap into those relationships more, because those are the spaces that will nourish your spirit. And this is hugely, hugely important, especially for us women who have a lot of work to do. Step number 5 is celebrate your wins. This is another huge one. When life throws you those good moments, when things are aligning, don't rush to the next. When you reach to the mountain peak and you so badly want to rush to the next peak, you don't take a step back and just realize that you've just been trudging up this mountain for weeks, days, months, whatever your project is or whatever your win is. That is what sometimes makes you develop this constant rush and you feel invisible. Celebrate your wins, whatever it is. It could be the small things. You got your master's degree, or you accomplished a work project, or your baby turned 2 years. Whatever it is, I feel like as women, it is absolutely necessary to just take a step back and celebrate your wins. Because if we are waiting for other people to celebrate us and to acknowledge us, that's when you start to feel invisible. Because you're waiting for people at the end of the line to cheer you on, to be like, oh yeah, And sometimes that doesn't happen. So you've got to be really good at seeing when you get to those peaks, celebrating yourself, patting yourself on the back, regardless of whether others notice you or not. Because you realize how much or how far you have come. Because invisibility comes in when we are waiting for others to cheer us on or to clap with us, and they're not. So this is a huge one. And one of the ways that we do not even celebrate accomplishments, like I said, and I'll share a bit about what I do. I have had the pleasure of working with women leaders, and I'm always amazed when I look at their resume of how many of their accomplishments that they haven't even put in. So you Google an article about them, it's written in the papers, but it's never even in their resume about something huge they undertook. And when you ask them, they say, oh, is that important? Should that even be in my resume? Yes, because we accomplish so much, yet we don't even take a step to just realize how far we've come. So if you do one thing today, just write a list, like I said, of all your accomplishments. Start celebrating yourself. Take yourself out on a date of whatever. Go to a spa and celebrate yourself, because if you don't do, then you constantly feel people are ignoring you. A call to action here is, I will list down some of the practical tips I've mentioned. Start doing them. Do your affirmation. Make those lists of when you feel invisible. Make a list of your accomplishments, and then you will become better at noticing when that feeling of being unseen is coming up and how to deal with it. So I hope this was helpful. Next time we will look at how you can stay on this path. There are some things here that I haven't mentioned that are not long-term. This is very short-term, small things that you can start doing now so that you start to feel like you matter and get you out of that rut, then next week we are going to talk about how do I keep at this path so that when it creeps back in, I can fight it. So those will be sort of like long-term strategies. But girl, I'm so glad you're here. Please do like, do share, do subscribe, share this with another woman that could benefit from this. I am so glad that you're here, and see you next time.